I think with SSEP that one of the keys, again, being here for 40 years, you have to be able to change as the industry changes. The delivery method of attracting new industry to our county is much different today than it was 40 years ago. And I think being able to recognize that and taking advantage of the opportunities when they do exist has allowed us to have this kind of tenure with our organization.
When the West Ohio Development Council was formed back in 1983, we were in the midst of double-digit unemployment, double-digit inflation, double-digit consumer price increases, and so some of the business leaders in the community and government leaders again got together and decided, what would be the course going forward, and so the West Ohio Development Council was formed.
As a county commissioner, SSEP is important to me because it's about making our community better. The SSEP is working to attract and retain jobs, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Everybody needs to have a place in the community where they're helping to achieve a common goal, taking care of their families, raising their kids. It all makes this a great place to live and to raise your family, and I think SSEP and Workforce Partnership are a great piece of that.
10 years ago, we decided to meet with CEOs of a lot of corporations in Shelby County and just kind of asked them, what can we do to try to help you? Because as acquiring new industry into our area gets more difficult all the time, we found it's just as important to retain what we have. And one of the key common denominators that came out even 10 years ago was workforce. And so we met as a board and decided, we can either sit back and do nothing, or we can try to figure out a plan to move the needle forward in some way. So we sat down and brainstormed with a group of people and came up with the idea of developing this workforce partnership. And when it was initially created, it was created to just educate our young people, our students from 7th, 8th to seniors on what it takes to be employable and all of the good career paths that are available right here in Shelby County. So that's the program we started, and when we started it, we went back to those same CEOs and said, okay, here's what we want to do, but there's some cost associated with it. And we asked them to give us 3 years, commit to a beginning 3-year pledge period to allow us to get a staff person on board, develop some curriculum, and start a program. And here we are in year 10.
The investors in the organization have been vital. If there weren't any investment, if there were no funding for the organization, obviously the organization couldn't have thrived as it has. Both not only in the Sidney-Shelby Economic Partnership, but the Workforce Partnership. When the need was put out to the community of what our goals were going to be, the funding was there. The funding came in.
I started as a new commissioner as they were going through those reports, and every single survey said, we need more employees. And so we recognized early on, way before other communities, that we needed to do something within our own community to educate and try to retain the kids that are coming out of high school.
We were traveling an unmapped area, so to speak, when both organizations were formed, but things have evolved, and we tried to evolve with the needs that have come up. And so I think that's the success of it. Not to be on a defined path, but on a path that can be adjusted either for the mostly for the good, but you look at things that are working and things that are not working, and you say, let's forget the things that are not working and move on to the things that are working.
To be successful, it's not just 1 or 2 people. It takes a group. And I think, yes, we had property owners like Ralph Stolley and his family. We've also had families that were heavily involved in development with the Bensar families, the Sargent families, Charlie Cole, who recently, as we know, had property that sold to the new industry coming to town. But then there were also other business leaders with Herb Slater and Tom Gibbon and city council members and city managers that worked well together to make it happen. Past SSEP directors. So again, it's a group of people that have the same vision, and they're just out to promote Shelby County and make Shelby County a family environment for everyone to raise their kids in a great culture.
The funding and the investors and their vision for the group has been vital, but as on an individual basis, and I hate to talk individually because there were so many people involved over the years, but as I was involved, the local attorney Harry Faulkner was probably the face of the West Ohio Development Council, which then became the Sidney-Shelby Economic Partnership under his leadership. And so this was kind of Harry's thing, and he was very involved with it, provided great leadership. As an executive director of the organization, he helped me tremendously as we navigated. Today you have Mick Gibbon, who is, I think, the president of the board, and he has had a great vision for the organization as well, not only in the economic development part, but also in the workforce partnership. And so those are two individuals that kind of rise to the top when I think about it, but I'm leaving out so many people that have been functional in this process and in the organization.
I think SSEP and Workforce Partnership are both strategically placed right now to move forward in a great way. Both entities realize that they can't keep the same static habits over and over and over, and they know that as things evolve, they have to evolve along with it. And I've seen that both SSEP and Workforce Partnership are willing to evolve and address the changing needs in our communities. So I think we've got a great future ahead of us.
I think the outlook for the SSEP and the Workforce Partnership is excellent. I think as the programs develop and the funding increases, more things can be accomplished. I think that the personnel that we've had in these positions in the SSEP and the Workforce Partnership, not only from the director point of view, but from the board point of view, have been great quality people that, again, are visionary and problem solving. They see a problem, they create a vision, create a roadmap to success, and have been able to do that. And I'm sure that in the next few years, we're going to see more issues that need to be directed to economic development. And I'm sure there's going to be people that will rise up and say, this is how we do it. This is how we accomplish it. And I think that's been the history of SSEP and the Workforce Partnership, and I think that's going to continue.
As I've mentioned before, this is a huge partnership. And I think that there isn't one person, one group that we can really say, hey, thanks so much, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you today. I believe that probably, we talk about private-public partnerships, and SSEP is really that. It's the city government, it's county government, and it's private industry that financially support this movement and this department, this organization, to allow us to go out and recruit industry for the betterment of Shelby County. So everyone that participates in any of the committees and any of the boards, whether they just send in a check to help financially support us, they're a part of making this happen. And the same thing with Workforce Partnership. Again, it's driven more so by private industry, but we partner with the schools in different ways, by them providing classroom space, by them providing educators and staff. So again, it's really a partnership with various organizations, and you know, it's kind of like that three-legged stool. If you take one of the legs out, you're gonna fall over, and that's really the way I see both of these organizations, that it is a three-legged stool, and it takes all three legs for us to be balanced and moving forward with a good foundation.